Are you ready? Ranking the 130 teams in FBS college football here at the Voice of College Football. Please like the video, share the videos out on social media. If you enjoy the content, others will as well. So we ask that you would share the videos on social media. We ask that you like the video, even if you don't agree with me. If you enjoy what we do here at the Voice of College Football, please smash that like button and, of course, subscribe at the Voice of College Football. We are ranking all the teams as they stand right now. This is not an all-time ranking. This is not a ranking that has a lot of impact going back 3 and 4 and 5 years either. This is about where these programs stand right now at the conclusion of 2020 going into 2021. But again, not necessarily a ranking of these particular teams, but the programs, where the programs stand, the status of the programs right now in college football on the field, not ranking brand image, facilities, money, anything like that, or recruiting prowess. This is about how good the teams are on the field. Overall, their programs heading into 2021. Here we go. Get your notepad ready. And keep in mind that we're going to get your feedback at our call-in show on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. 8 o'clock Eastern Time, be right here to provide your feedback and jump on the phone line with me. At number 130, we've got UTEP. They're 5-39 since 2017. They have only 2 wins against FBS teams. New Mexico State's at number 129. They did not beat an FBS team during this time, so you see the 12 wins, except for UTEP. That's the only team they've defeated in FBS play since 2018. UMass at 9-29. They went 1-11 in 2019, 0-4 this past fall. And get this, UMass was outscored 161-12 in going 0-4. Old Dominion's at 127. They're 10-26. They didn't play this past fall. They have no FBS wins going back to 2019, 1-11 that particular season. The Huskies of UConn at 6-30, canceled football in 2020. Randy Edsall's back for his second stint, and it's not going nearly as well as it did his first time, in which he went 33-19 his final 4 seasons at UConn during his first stint with 4 bowl games. But UConn's at 126. The Akron Zips check in at 125. Akron has been dismal since going 7-7 in 2017, including 1-5 in 2020, 0-12 in 2019 for the Zips. Bowling Green wants a MAC power under Urban Meyer and others. Since then, 8-33 since 2017. They went 0-5 this past season. They were so bad they even lost to Akron 31-3. At number 123, we've got New Mexico. And New Mexico was 2-10 in 2019. They did have 2 wins. This is a good trajectory for New Mexico. 2 wins to finish off 2020 against 2 decent teams in Wyoming and Fresno to finish at 2-5. Texas State's at 122. Texas State, 10-38 the past 4 seasons, 2-10 in 2020. They did beat Arkansas State, though. South Alabama checks in at 121. This was a rising program 7 or 8 years ago, but South Alabama hitting rough times. They do have Arkansas State's number the past 2 seasons, though. Rice is at number 120, playing its best football in quite some time. They started 0-9 in 2019. They won their final 3 games in 2019. And then this past season, they beat Marshal and Southern Miss, and they also had some close losses. So Rice doing better at 8-34. Number 119 is East Carolina, 13-32. They're improving. They had wins against SMU and Temple to close out 2020 under Mike Houston. Charlotte, impressive wins this past season against some decent teams. And they got to a bowl game before going 2-4 in 2020 under Will Healy. All right, Nevada, Las Vegas checks in at number 117. They beat Vandy, San Jose State, Nevada in 2019. Then they went 0-6 under Marcus Arroyo. At number 116, we got Louisiana Monroe at 15-31. All right, they were 5-7 2 years ago. Then they fell flat at 0-10. Their last win was 2 years ago against Coastal Carolina, surprisingly. Now they've brought in Terry Bowden to right the ship after, again, 0-10 in replacing Matt Viator. Number 115 is a former MAC power, a school that was always on top of the MAC actually the last MAC team other than Western Michigan under P.J. Fleck to appear in a BCS bowl game. That was against Florida State, and that's Northern Illinois, 21-24 the past 4 seasons, but they're falling hard from the MAC first tier down to 0-6 this past season. Rick Stockstill's been in Middle Tennessee for a long time, and Middle Tennessee checks in at number 114. They are only 7-16 in their past 23 games. At number 113, we've got a team that under Jim Leavitt was really good, challenged a lot of Power 5 teams, actually finished in the top 15 in the nation one year. South Florida, coming off the rails under Charlie Strong. Jeff Scott had his first season in 2020. It did not go well with only 1 win. Kansas, our lowest rated Power 5 conference team, for good reason, 7-38. Did show some hope in 2019 with 3 decent wins, but since then, of course, 13 straight losses, and of course the disaster of Les Miles, and now Emmett Jones takes the reins, and a tough job cut out for Emmett Jones in the Big 12 and Kansas. At number 111, we've got Eastern Michigan, 20-24. They did beat Illinois and Coastal Carolina. Was a close loss to Pitt in the bowl game back in 2019. They went 2-4 in 2020 under Chris Creighton. All right, we got Colorado State checking in at number 110. 9-24, though, in their last 33 games. Steve Adazio trying to right the ship there. Adazio, of course, coming in from Boston College. At number 109, trying to keep these Michigan directional schools straight, we've got Central. They went 8-6 in the MAC in going to the championship game in 2019, but fell down to 3-3 in 2020 under Jim McElwain. At number 108, we've got Florida International. They went 9-4 in 2018. Then the next year they beat Miami, went back to a bowl game, but 0-5 under Butch Davis here in 2020. Utah State checks in at 107. They were a tremendous power in the Mountain West under Matt Wells. Most recently, 2018 at 11-2, but they went 1-5 in 2020. Blake Anderson replacing Gary Anderson there at Utah State. At number 106, we've got one of the great upsurges in college football at Kent State. They are 7-1 in their past 8 games. They got their first bowl win 2 years ago against Utah State, and they scored more points than anybody per game in college football in 2020 under Sean Lewis. At number 105, we got Western Kentucky. They have been on a roller coaster ride, 3-9, 9-4, 5-7. They've been all over the place under Tyson Helton, Western Kentucky at 105. We got Georgia State at 104 out of the Sun Belt. They're 13-10 the last 2 years with bowl wins. And they took Louisiana to overtime under Sean Elliott. So Georgia State rising at 104. At number 103 is Miami of Ohio. They're a game over 500 since 2017, despite, 8-6 with close bowl loss to Louisiana in 2019. Only played 3 games in 2020 at 2-1 under head coach Chuck Martin. Texas San Antonio checks in at 102. They went 7-5 in 2020 with a close 1-score loss to BYU under Jeff Traylor. At number 101, we got San Jose State. Okay, we're going to have to figure out where San Jose State is because they're a rising program, but was 2020 an aberration in winning the Mountain West. Just 15 wins since 2017, but they did go 7-1 this past season, and Brent Brennan is doing a fine job with the Spartans. At number 100, even 100, North Texas. They were humming along under Seth Littrell, had a couple consecutive 9-win seasons, followed by 8-14, though, the last 2 years at North Texas with the Mean Green. Number 99, Western Michigan. 11-8, 9-5 in the MAC the past 2 seasons under Tim Lester. Number 98, we got Temple at 24-22. They have been a solid bowl program, challenging a lot of Power 5 teams year after year after year, but just 1-6 under Rod Carey in 2020. Ball State checks in as the MAC champion at number 97, 2-10, 4-8, 5-7, then bam, 7-1 with a MAC championship and beat San Jose State in the bowl game under Mike Mew. Arkansas State at 27-22 were once the best program in the Sun Belt Conference, clearly from 2011 to 16. Still good at 8-5 in 2019, but they fell down to 4-7 this past season. Blake Anderson is out. He went to Utah State, and Butch Jones is in. At number 95, we've got another Power 5 team checking in. It's a dismal Arizona club. Worst defense in the Pac-12 during this entire 5-year stretch. Kevin Sumlin was a disaster. Jed Fish will try to right the ship in Tucson. All right, another Power 5 team at number 94 out of the SEC, Vanderbilt. Derek Mason was given too much time. He failed. Clark Lee comes in from Notre Dame. He's got a nearly impossible job, but Vandy checks in at number 94. At 93, we've got the Rockets of Toledo at 28-17 the past 4 seasons, 4-2 in 2020. A couple bowl losses the last 2 years under Jason Candle. All right, Georgia Southern at number 92. You see the record there since 2017, but they are 25-14 since 2018 under Chad Lunsford, who's been there since 2017. Southern Miss has been a fine football program for decades, and they've been really good since 2018 at 25-14 under Chad Lunsford. Then we've got Ohio checking in at number 90 at 27-15 since 2017. Frank Solich, of course, the guy there, consistent winner for years. Oregon State out of the Pac-12, the lowest ranked of the Pac-12 teams. Jonathan Smith took over a historically bad program. The advanced metrics said that Oregon State was one of the worst programs in the Power 5 in years. They're clearly more competitive now under Jonathan Smith and rank number 89. At number 88, we've got Houston under Dana Holgorsen. They are only 9-16, though, their last 25 games. We'll see what Holgorsen can do with the Cougars. At number 87, we stay in the American Conference with Tulane. They're an even 500 since 2017 and have been a bowl team under Willie Fritz. 86 is Troy, 31-18 since 2017. They have fallen off the last 2 years under Chip Lindsey. Buffalo out of the MAC has been a power. 19-4 for Buffalo since 2018 under Lance Leopold. Hawaii checks in. Of course, Nick Rolovich was there. He led them to a Mountain West Conference Championship game his final season in 2019. Now Todd Graham takes over, former Arizona State coach. They went 5-4 with a bowl win against Houston last season. Rutgers out of the Big Ten at number 83. Of course, they were a disaster for years. Lost 21 consecutive games in the Big Ten heading into 2020, but Greg Schiano to the rescue has shown life, and Rutgers went 3-6 this past year. That's a minor miracle, so they have risen considerably. Number 82 is Wyoming, 8-5 in 2019 with a bowl win, 2-4 with close losses to decent teams this past season under Craig Bowl. Louisiana Tech's at number 81. They've been a consistent winner under Skip Holtz, 30-19 during this testing period of 2017 through 20. At number 80, we've got Illinois at 14-31. Brett Bielema, much like Greg Schiano, to the rescue in replacing Lovie Smith. Syracuse checks in. Syracuse, very odd in that they had the one big season in 2018 when Dino Babers led them to 10-3 and a top 15 finish. But other than that, they've been pretty damn awful. 2018, do the math. If you take off the 10-3 season, they're 10-25. Other than that, under Dino Babers. At number 78 is Texas Tech. Matt Wells still trying to build a program in the Big 12 there. Did a great job at Utah State, but they've been pretty bad again in the Big 12. But Mike Leach showed that you can win in Lubbock. At number 77, we've got Tulsa. Only 15-30 during this time, but a big turnaround in 2020 at 6-3 with close losses to Oklahoma State and Cincinnati. But 4-8 just in 2019. We'll see if Philip Montgomery shows that 2020 was not a fluke at Tulsa. FAU's at number 76. Of course, a program built by Lane Kiffin recently, originally built by Howard Schnellenberger. Willie Taggart takes over in 2019, goes 5-4, and Willie Taggart takes the reins there. Okay, at number 75, we got Marshal, 32-17 during this time, a consistent winner under Charles Huff. All right, at number 74, Nevada, 3-9 in 2017, but they've been a solid bowl team ever since under Jay Norvell. Navy's fallen down considerably here. Still a respected coach in Ken Nuimatalolo. They've been up and down recently. Up and down, only 24-25 since 2017 after consistently being an 8, 9, 10 win program prior to that. Air Force at number 72. Couple 5 and 7 seasons in there, mixed with 11 and 2 in 2018, in which they defeated Washington State in a bowl game under Troy Calhoun. They went 3 and 3 this past season. Fresno State, as we stay in the Mountain West Conference, is at number 71. They reached the conference championship game in 2017 and 18, won a bowl game against Arizona State. So Kalen DeBoer now takes over from Jeff Tedford. SMU takes over at number 70. Sonny Dykes has done a nice job there. Disappointing 2019 and 2020 finish, but SMU a solid 29 and 19 since 2017. Duke out of the ACC under David Cutcliffe. He had a miserable start to his career at Duke. Then he lifted the Blue Devils up to an ACC championship game in 2013. They were a solid bowl team right after that, but the last few seasons have been very shaky, including a dismal 2020. So Duke checks in at number 69, followed by Coastal Division rival Georgia Tech at 68. Jeff Collins, 2 seasons, still trying to figure things out in Atlanta. We got Maryland at number 67. Recruiting's been fine under Mike Loxley as it was under DJ Durkin, but they've got a win on the field. Loxley is only 3-12 in the Big Ten, 14-27 during this span of 4 seasons. Baylor's at number 66, 21-27. Now you talk about a wild ride during this frame of 4 years we've looked at. They went from 1-11 in the Big 12 to the conference championship game and almost getting to the playoff, going to the Sugar Bowl, back down to 2-7 last year under Dave Aranda. At number 65, we've got a power out of the Conference USA. They've been dominant there, UAB, under Bill Clark. Tremendous job he's done there. Speaking of great coaching jobs, Jeff Munkin at Army. What a job he's done. 10-3, 11-2, 9-3. Throw in a 5-7 in 2018, but look at all those great seasons. 35-16 the past 4 seasons. Purdue at 63. Jeff Brom took over. They went to 2 consecutive bowl games after not going to a bowl game for 9 seasons with all losing seasons, but they're sliding. They're only winning 33% of their games the last 2 seasons. Coastal Carolina checks in at number 62. Let's not be too fooled by the 2020 miracle ride of Coastal Carolina under Jamie Chadwell. Let's see if it continues. They are only 24-21 the past 4 seasons. All right, speaking of that narrative of not getting too invested in 2020, BYU. Okay, let's not overestimate what happened that season. They played a group of 5 schedule. They had Zach Wilson. They've basically been a 500 program in only 7 games over 500, actually under 500 if you take out 2020 under Kalani Sitake. San Diego State's a consistent winner at number 60, 10-3 in 2019. They beat Arizona State that year. They also beat Stanford a couple of years before that under Brady Hoke. Chip Kelly and UCLA at number 59. They've been awful. He's been a disaster, but they did play their best football in 2020, especially down the stretch. Almost beat USC, finished at 3-4. Okay. Arkansas, speaking of a team that has a horrendous record, but we're looking forward to the future as well. I think the program's in good hands with Sam Pittman. They had some life in 2020, of course, at 3-7 after 2 consecutive winless seasons in the SEC under Chad Morris. Number 57 is Colorado, another team on an upsurge with some hope under Carl Doral, going 4-3 with an Alamo Bowl appearance this past season. Actually 4-2. Taking over for Mel Tucker. All right, number 56 is Louisiana. Of course, they had the much heralded win against Iowa State by 17 points in Ames this past year. Louisiana is 21-4 the last 2 seasons under Billy Napier. All right, let's stay in the Sun Belt Conference, and the chief nemesis to Louisiana is, of course, App State. They have been dominant. They own the Sun Belt. They're 42-10. They beat North Carolina and South Carolina the last 2 years under Sean Clark. At number 54, we've got Washington State. Of course, Mike Leach did a fine job there. They almost went to Rose Bowls. They had the best record in the Pac-12 in 2018. He hands it to Nick Rolovich. They had a suspended short season. Washington State 27-16 during this 4-year run at number 54. Virginia Tech's on the downside. They are under 500 since 2018. The recruiting's been awful. Justin Fuentes on the hot seat. Virginia Tech's at number 53. Let's go back out to the Pac-12 and Cal at number 52. 500 record under Justin Wilcox, although I think he's a tremendous coach. It is time for him to win. At number 51, Liberty. Oh my goodness, what a season they had in 2020. Of course, they came within 1 point of going undefeated. 1 point loss to NC State. They defeated Virginia Tech. Hugh Freeze doing a heck of a job. The man, despite his issues, can coach. At number 50, Kansas State, marginal in the Big 12 in recent years. Chris Kleiman, we'll see what he's got. He went 4-6 this past season. At number 49, probably a controversial selection here, but they're just not getting it done on the field. Nebraska, Scott Frost. They got resources, the brand, the tradition. They got the money, the packed stadium. They're not winning. They haven't been to a bowl game in 4 consecutive years. Nebraska coming off 3-5 at number 49. Ditto, South Carolina made the change in the coaching situation with Shane Beamer taking over for Will Muschamp. Big potential at this job, but not getting it done, of course, in recent years at 22-26. Ditto, here's another mighty team that has fallen, Michigan State. Mark D'Antonio had them as recently as 2017 at 10-3, top 15 in the country. Of course, he finished out his stay at Michigan State. Mel Tucker, we'll see what he can do with Sparty after going 2-5 this past season. Memphis out of the American Conference checks in at number 46. You see the outstanding record as Justin Fuente has handed off to Mike Norvell, and now Ryan Silverfield turned in another Memphis-type season in 2020. Boston College out of the ACC checks in at number 45. Jeff Hadley, good early returns on him. They've got the tremendous quarterback in play. Boston College is at number 45. All right, we stay in the ACC at number 44 with Louisville. Tough to separate a lot of these programs in the ACC, that middle tier of the conference. Louisville, roller coaster ride. Bobby Petrino took them off the rails after having some nice seasons with Lamar Jackson. Scott Satterfield takes over a team that only went 2-10. He lifts them to 8-5. Big expectations last year. Then they fall off to 4-7. We'll see what they got in 2021. Virginia checks in at number 43. Bronco Mendenhall has all my respect. He's tremendous. He took over a fledgling, horrible program at 2-10, lifted them to the ACC championship game, and they are at number 43. At number 42, the team that had one of the finer defenses in college football this past season won a bowl game over Army. Talking about West Virginia under Neil Brown. At number 41, we've got the backyard brawl tandem with Pitt at number 41 under Pat Narduzzi, but they seem to be stuck in purgatory there at Pitt. 7-5, 7-5, 7-5 all the time. At number 40, we got Mizzou at 26-22 the past 4 years. They've had a number of coaches during that time. Gary Pinkel handed off to Barry Odom. Eli Drinkwitz, his first season at 5-5. It's tough to recruit in the SEC when you're at Missouri. At number 39 is Wake Forest. Dave Clawson is a man. He can coach big time. They go to bowl games. They win bowl games. They're tremendous. He's 27-21 the last 4 years. Wake is at 39. Sneak in a group of 5 here. UCF, of course, the darlings of 2017 and 18. Josh Heupel took over. They weren't quite as successful. Then only 6-5 this past year, or 6-4. Gus Malzahn, I think they're in a great place. He will recruit speed for the offense. They've done it before at UCF. He's done it at Auburn. This is going to be an interesting case study here at UCF. And I've got the Knights at number 38. Followed by Indiana of the Big Ten at number 37. Interesting selection here, of course, because Indiana's been awful for years. Tom Allen has pumped life into the program. They went 8-5 2 years ago. Of course, they lost 2 games, 7 wins, and top 15 finish, losing the bowl game. Still work to do for Tom Allen at Indiana. All right, this could be a bit controversial because this team is not performing, but they have talent all over the place, and they do play in the toughest conference in the country. I've got Tennessee at number 36. Josh Heupel taking over, of course, for Jeremy Pruitt. He's got a mess to clean up. At number 35, we got Mississippi State. Got off to the tremendous start in Game 1 at Death Valley under Mike Leach and KJ Costello. Then they fell flat on their faces, but they rallied late to salvage the season to a certain extent and won a bowl game. Mike Leach has won at Texas Tech, Washington State. How about Mississippi State? The Bulldogs are at 35. At number 34, another one that doesn't necessarily match the talent level, the brand, the tradition, the history. Florida State at number 34. From Jimbo to Willie, now to Mike. Dysfunction all over the place. He's in the process of cleaning it up. Florida State fans hope. They were awful in 2020. I've got them at number 34. All right, the 33rd best program in college football right now. Boise State. Again, trying to compare the Power 5 in the group of 5 is sometimes difficult. Andy Avalos comes from Oregon State to take over the Boise State program from Brian Harsin. And, of course, the line of coaches and their success has been tremendous, from Dirk Cutter to Dan Hawkins to Chris Peterson, Brian Harsin, 38-10 the past 4 seasons. At number 32, Ole Miss. The record's not glowing the past 4 years, but Lane Kiffin has this on an upward trajectory. The 2020 results were tremendous, including a bowl win against Indiana. At number 31, we've got Herm Edwards and Arizona State, 24-19 the past 4 seasons. We need to see more from them. They only played 3 football games in 2020. At number 30, NC State, the much maligned from me, Dave Doran, but a turnaround season of sorts in 2020 at 8-4. NC State's at number 30. At number 29, I've got Minnesota and PJ Fleck, a bit of a downer this past season, but they only played 7 games following that remarkable 11-2 top 10 finish in 2019. At number 28, I've got TCU. They went to the Big 12 championship game in 2017. Gary Patterson's one of the best in the business, but he needs a quarterback. Expect TCU to bounce back a bit. They did have a decent 2020 at 6-4. At number 27, the king of the group of 5 as it stands right now. In the past, it's been Boise State. It's been Houston. Most recently, it's been UCF. Memphis jumped in there. Right now, it's Cincinnati, though. 31-6 the past 3 seasons under Luke Fickell, the clear number 1 group of 5 after taking Georgia to the wire at the Peach Bowl. At number 26 is Stanford. Let's not go overboard about the 4-8 2019 season. It was not good considering they were a top 5 club there in the early 2010s. Then they fell off to that 8-4 status. Then that 4-8 was alarming, but they did bounce back for 4-2 under David Shaw. Interesting campaign coming up for Stanford. At number 25, I've got Kentucky. Mark Stoops is building. He has done a tremendous job there. 3 straight bowl victories for Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Number 24 is Oklahoma State. This is one of the more consistent programs in the country. Some Oklahoma State fans may not want to hear that at this point because Mike Gundy looked at one point like he was going to lift this to an elite or near elite status. But he doesn't get to Big 12 championship games. He doesn't get to major bowl games. But look at that, the last 4 years, 33-17. They win. They go 8-4. Number 23, we've got Northwestern. Always underrated. They've gone to 2 Big Ten championship games in the past 3 seasons, of course. The other year was 3-9. They've made a facility investment. They're strong. They're solid. It's Northwestern. They're number 23 in the country. Utah's at number 22, much like Northwestern. Rock solid. Kyle Whittingham's been there forever. And they went to 2 straight Pac-12 championship games in 2018 and 19. At number 21, we've got Michigan. Now, the vibe is that Michigan is awful. It's coming off the rails. Let's back off on that. As recently as 2018, they were leading Alabama in the second half of a bowl game. Yes, they lost. They went 9-4. They finished roughly in the top 15 in the country. Yes, they had the one awful season at 2-4, but it was a 6-game season. So let's not go overboard on the misevaluating Michigan. We'll see what 2021 has to say, but I got them at 21st in the country. At number 20, I've got Iowa. They are 16-5 the last 2 years under Kirk Ferentz, and 33-14 the last 4 years, and we know Iowa's stocked with offensive linemen and tight ends, and they win, and they compete for Big Ten Western Division championships. At number 19, interesting selection here, interesting situation. Chris Peterson built this to a college football playoff contender. 2 New Year's 6 bowl games in recent times in the Pac-12 and a Pac-12 championship, and then he turns over the program to Jimmy Lake. They only played 4 games this past year, went 3-1, so we got Washington at 19. Brian Harsin in Auburn, one of the tougher assignments in college football at number 18. They have not played to their recruiting ranking by any stretch, losing 5 and 6 games a year, but we've got Auburn at number 18. USC's at number 17, loaded with talent. The last 3 seasons, though, have been marginal at 5-7, 8-5, and 5-1. But, man, they scratched out wins against marginal competition and lost big in the Pac-12 championship game. Miami and Manny Diaz at number 16. Talent all over the place. They've recruited well the last 2 classes under Manny Diaz. Let's see what he does with it. They went from deplorable efforts against the likes of FIU and Duke and Louisiana Tech 2 years ago to a respectable showing, but still not playing anywhere close to Clemson and North Carolina in 2020. At number 15, we've got Texas. Yes, underachieving, but still. I'll explain a little bit more once we get to number 14. That's Iowa State. And you would say, wow, Iowa State's like the darling of college football under Matt Campbell, because they were going 2-10, 3-9, 4-8 forever. Then he shows up and he lifts them to 7-8 wins, and now 9-3 in a Fiesta Bowl, and they almost won the Big 12, and they're ready to break through, and they got all this talent coming back. Yes. So why would they only be 14? And Texas is this major disappointment, and why would they only be 1 spot behind Iowa State? If you really look at the results, they played to a 1-score game this past season. They have played to 1-score games basically head-to-head the last 3 or 4 seasons, and Texas lost the same number of games as Iowa State. It's just Iowa State is overachieving. Texas is underachieving. But as it stands right now, Iowa State, Matt Campbell, number 14, Texas, and Sark at 15. All right, at number 13 is North Carolina. What a job Mac Brown's done. Let's not go too crazy, though. He's 15-10. They only had the one semi-big year at 8-4, Orange Bowl berth. Sam Howell coming back. North Carolina at number 13. Rock solid, steady, not elite. Probably will never get there, but Wisconsin at number 12 in the country. Went to the Rose Bowl 2 years ago. They're 3-1 in bowl games during our stretch of 4 years. We're looking at Paul Chryst does the job. Wisconsin, they've got the identity. They crank out top 15 finishes. That's where they belong, right there. Number 11 is Florida. They could go either way here. Wow. For the first 8 or 9 games of 2020, they had beaten Georgia. They took Alabama to the brink. They barely lost to Texas A&M. They were a top 5 team in the country. They came off the rails late. I think the narrative has swung during the offseason way too much, that they're just a disaster. Okay. Yes, it was a disappointing finish. They're still recruiting in the top 10. It's Florida. They're fine. They're number 11. Penn State's at number 10. And similarly, people jumping on James Franklin, 0-5, get rid of him. What's happened to Penn State? Okay. 4 consecutive top 15 finishes before that. Then they go 4-5, and the recruiting was not the best this past season, but still Penn State at number 10. Let's see what they bring us, but they're 35-13 the past 4 years. LSU's an interesting case. Of course, they had the one historic year in 2019, but is that LSU or is LSU 5-5? Well, they're neither. They keep going like 9-3, 8-4 with some of the best talent in the country. So this is a good spot for LSU at number 9. I've got Oregon at number 8. Mario Cristobal doing a tremendous job recruiting past everybody in the Pac-12. Near top 5 status. Rose Bowl win 2 years ago. Number 7 is Texas A&M. Yes, they had the breakout in 2019. And yes, they look really good, aside from the quarterback situation that they got to figure out, of course. Just no experience at quarterback coming into 2021. Yes, Jimbo in the recruiting and the breakout season in 2019, it all looks good, but they've only done it for one season at Texas A&M. Notre Dame's at number 6. Look at that record in the past 4 seasons, 45-8 with 2 playoff appearances. We know the failures against the elite, but still Notre Dame at number 6. Oklahoma's the 5th best program in college football right this second. They own the Big 12. The defense is getting better. Lincoln Riley's an offensive genius. At number 4 is Georgia, 44-9. Some are going to knock me, I know, for ranking Georgia ahead of Oklahoma. Georgia has performed better on the field. That's all there is to it. They play in the much tougher conference. They have been the only team that has gone toe-to-toe with Alabama the last 3 trips. Yes, it's disappointing, and you can knock Kirby Smart that they haven't gotten it done, but they're the only school that has gone head-to-head with Alabama and shown that they totally belong on the field. The 2017 championship game, they came that close to winning. They were as good as the national champion. They didn't win the national championship, but they were right there. 2018 SEC championship game, they're up by 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. The last time they played Alabama, forget the score. If you watch the game, they're as good as Alabama, basically on the field. Georgia at number 4. Clemson's number 3. Ohio State's number 2. We're getting to a place where there's no defense that needs to be made for these selections other than you could have Clemson at 2, Ohio State 3. But Ohio State has been owning a better conference. They won the head-to-head meeting in decided fashion. The year before was a toss-up, a controversial finish, a controversial game with all the calls. This past season, Ohio State blew out Clemson. They're recruiting a little bit better, and they own the Big Ten. And at number 1, there's no question that it's Alabama. During this time, they're 6-1 in the postseason. They're 51-4, 2 national championships, 3 national title games. The one time they didn't get there, it's because Tua got hurt, and they still probably could have played in the playoff and played well. They are Alabama. They are amazing. All right, that's 130 up to number 1. I want you to call in or leave your comments in the live chat. Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we should have a big crowd to talk college football program rankings right here at the Voice of College Football. Spread the word, share the videos. We will see you soon.